Welcome back to Beyond the Last Voyage series. In our previous episode, we explored how GMS manages the most difficult as-is transactions and damaged ships. Today, we move offshore to the world of FPSOs, FSOs, and rigs, floating giants that require an entirely different level of expertise. Captain Yogesh, great to have you again.
Hey, thank you, Jamie. I'm sure your listeners enjoyed listening to the earlier podcast where we talked about the conventional tonnage. But today, we will talk about the offshore units, which have demons of their own, which need to be dealt with white gloves. Looking at FPSOs, FSOs, and other rigs, they are completely different in their structure, in their way of handling, and complexity of moving them. An FPSO, although a ship shape, is easier rather than a semi-submersible rig, which is floating on either 4 legs, 8 legs, or 3 legs. The ones which have 3 legs are the most dangerous ones, which need much greater attention and planning. Whereas the ones which have 4 legs or 8 legs have pontoons underneath, they are easier to handle as compared to the ones which are triangular and have 3 legs. The jackup rigs are absolutely different in handling because of their nature, because of their flat bottom. The underwriters prefer to handle these units in a totally different manner. They require greater preparation, they require greater scrutiny via marine warranty surveys. And the age of these units makes it contingent upon the operations guys in GMS, to prepare these units in such a way that during the passage, either the stability or the construction itself is not compromised. Because of the age, generally there are a lot of steel wastages, which can result in flare masts on FPSOs or drill rigs. They can become loose and fall off. There have been cases where the flare mast fell on board the FPSO itself. But since we were prepared, we secured these FPSOs in such a way that even if there is any structural damage, it is contained within the parameters of the hull itself. So, yes, it requires not maybe other jobs which need to be done on conventional units like cleaning or gas freeing. Here, it's the structural strength, the preparation for the towage, preparation for the emergency measures has greater impact on underwriters and surveyors' ability to approve the voyages.
Captain, I remember GMS made headlines by towing a semi-submersible from Brazil, a voyage lasting around 6 months. That must have been an extraordinary operation, right? Can you share more about that project to our listeners?
JB, it indeed was. At that time, no offshore unit was recycled in subcontinent. And normal cash buyers, none of them had any experience of moving these units to recycling yards. Thus, the underwriters and the marine warranty surveyors were reluctant to become a partner to us in making sure that this is covered. But GMS, being the leader in this industry, took upon the challenge. We underwrote the voyage ourselves. We worked with the marine warranty surveyors at that time. We prepared that unit from Brazil and towed the unit from Brazil to subcontinent. But it was intended to be about 3 month towage. However, it took us more than 6 months. During the passage south of Cape, the tow line of the tug broke and the unit was adrift. It was adrift for 6, 7 days. The weather became so bad that the tug lost the visual sight of the unit. So we are planning to send helicopters to locate the semi sub so that we could direct the tug in that region. However, on that fateful day, the weather improved and the tug could see the lights on top of the masts. And we recovered the unit, started sailing again But when we reached off Madagascar, we lost another tow wire. Because of the current, the unit was drifting towards Madagascar. And in that region, there were no more tugs available. And we were hoping to push the tug which was towing to prepare the second wire quickly and recover the unit. But it took its own time. We worked with the authorities in Madagascar to somehow assist us using naval tugs. But as the luck would have it, or the God was shining upon us, they managed to connect again and bring the unit to Port Louis. Eventually, from Port Louis, we were heading towards Alang. We got an offer to deliver the unit to Singapore, which we did. And it took us literally more than 6 months to complete the whole project. And that was the first unit which was towed from Brazil all the way to Singapore. And the best part doesn't end there. After we delivered that rig to a buyer in Singapore, 5 years later, the same rig was sold back to us for recycling again. And we towed that unit back from Singapore to Alang. This would be my first time that I handled an offshore unit twice for the same purpose. Hey, Jamie, but let's not forget the jackups. There was a time when the underwriters and the marine warranty surveyors were adamant that no jackup could be delivered into Chittagong because of the shape and the strength of the current up the river in Chittagong. Once again, GMS took upon this challenge. We managed to secure the insurance cover from Singapore to arrival Chittagong. Thereafter, we underwrote the voyage itself from arrival limits to the beaching part. We beached that unit using smaller additional tugs, and everything went so well that the marine warranty surveyor himself was so happy that we managed it. Since then, they have been permitting beachings of jackups in Chittagong. So this again was a feather in the cap of GMS, being a pioneer and leader in this industry.
That's such a wonderful success story. It's not just that you made us proud, you and your team really gave the entire ship recycling industry confidence that you can pull off challenging projects like that. With such complex units, compliance and environmental management must be equally demanding. How does GMS ensure full safety and environmental integrity?
Jamie, it's very easy. Once you follow the guidelines of MARPOL and IMO, nothing else is required. If you don't cut corners simply because you want to save money, everything is possible. And these guidelines of MARPOL and IMO have been created knowing well that the job can be done safely. And this is all budgeted. That's the best part. We always budget these costs and we spend on it. We simply do not cut corners and save some pennies, but we make sure that full amount is spent. Even if it requires extra expenditure, it is done so that environment is never put at risk. Because we want to be sure that the GMS, who is a pioneer in environmentally safe recycling, starts not only upon beaching, but prior beaching too. Unlike some others, we don't cut costs on safety. It's what protects lives on board the ship, lives which are involved in fishing, and the most important, the reputation of GMS and its legacy.
The industry is evolving fast, especially around sustainability and ESG requirements. What does the future look like for offshore recycling, and how is GMS preparing?
Jamie, responsible recycling is here to stay, and it's part of the circular economy related with this industry. All recovered steel from these units goes back into production, goes back into steel production, goes back into pipeline production. So, in fact, it is adding value to the whole economy. We are investing in very expensive cleaner processes, digital tracking, traceable compliance systems, and more offshore units approach the end of their life cycles. There will be increasing demand for professional and safe recycling, especially from certain owners who would rather make sure that their units are recycled in the most environmentally sound manner so that even their legacy is maintained. And GMS is ready for that future. It's here. There are no two ways about it. Our experience, global network, and operational excellence surely will give us an edge very few can match.
After managing so many difficult projects, what message would you share with ship owners preparing for their vessel's final voyage?
Jamie, very easy, very easy. I would request anyone who is preparing to offload their asset to choose your partner very wisely. It's not all because of money. It's your reputation and reputation of the GMS. Anyone can quote a price, but not everyone can deliver safely at that price. So when you work with GMS, you are partnering with a team that has proven its reliability across decades through storms, fires, and all kind of challenges. This experience is what guaranteed the results and shall continue to guarantee further results. Thank you.
And that concludes our Beyond the Last Voyage series. From taking over damaged ships to towing offshore giants across oceans, GMS continues to set the benchmark for safety, responsibility, and operational excellence in ship recycling. Thank you, Captain Yogesh Rehani, for being part of this series and sharing your valuable insights with our listeners.
Thank you.